if you don't do this thing, then all these opportunities, all this entrepreneurship that you want to get into could falter because you don't really have strong. Everything is happening. Vincent told me this once. He's like, people do stuff for their friends. Period.
Yeah.
Like, if you're my friend, it's a whole different level of what I'll do for you versus a stranger.
Right.
And so if you're lost on why are we talking about this when this is a Wealthy Thoughts, it's because this is what comes before the wealth.
This is the foundation before you even get to that phase.
I'm thinking them Wealthy Thoughts, baby. Everything about you. What's up, everybody? We're back again. I'm your boy, StephenMotivate, with my friend and yours. Introduce yourself, Steve.
What's up, y'all? Steve James. How y'all doing?
We are back again. I hope y'all are doing quite fine. I hope you're doing quite all right this morning, this evening. I don't know what time it is anymore.
Yeah, it's all running together. It's morning, though.
Hopefully you're enjoying these Wealthy Thoughts podcast episodes. We've been, really trying to help y'all build the right mindset as it relates to entrepreneurship, trying to give y'all real deal experiences as it relates to what we've been through. So hopefully you don't have to go through it or you can learn from it. And, we just felt like it was necessary. But, today, Steve, I think it's important for us to talk about a little bit about friendships, because I consider you one of my best friends. And, sometimes, especially as you get older in life, it's sometimes difficult to have really, really good friendships. And, the audience may not notice about you, but you're kind of like an expert on friendships. Like, I call you one of my best friends, but I know there's several other people that you've been called best friends for. Or how many times have you been the best man at somebody's wedding? 600?
No.
Steve offers best man services for.
Yeah, I could be a best man for free suits. No, I've been maybe 3.
3? Okay. 3's not crazy, but 3 best friends. That's pretty. That to me says something about being a good friend.
For sure.
And I think, with friendships, in order to get like meaningful connections, meaningful, deep connections, it's important in business, but it's also important in life.
Yeah.
And I think there's some, correlation to business. Like, if you know how to treat a person well, just without any money involved, then hopefully you also know how to do the same when money gets involved. So I don't know, what's your thought on that? What do you think is important about being a friend and I don't know, what would you say on that?
Man, I think friendship is important. And I think a lot of times it's easy to, take friendship for granted. And that's just because, now if we're talking about mixing friendship and business, then that's different. Because I think a lot of times when you get into a certain position and you try to bring family or friends into the equation, if everybody is not on the same page, it can cause, friction.
Yeah.
And I see that a lot because, as a friend, it's easy to just like, oh, just my buddy. You know what I mean? Like, oh, you need help? Like, I can give you 50% of that.
Yeah.
Instead of, if we're really going into business, then that friendship part is out the door. It's like, this is business. So to be able to, cut it off, I think is the biggest thing. Because we can do that. You know what I mean? Like,
you mean like you and I?
You and I.
Yeah.
We can sit and talk about business, and then we can go have a burger at Twin Peaks, and it be you know?
Yeah.
So I think, but just in general, I feel like friendship is important because, you know, it's when you have a relationship with like that type of bond when it comes to just being a friend, you put yourself in a situation where it's like, okay, I got this person's back no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And I pride myself on being a good friend because it's like I want my friends to know that I love them dearly and that if anything, no matter what, if something pops off, they can always call me and say, hey, bro, like even if it's just you know, hey, what's going on? You know what I mean? Checking up. Even if it's that, you know what I mean? I know that my close friends can say that I'm that person.
Yeah, absolutely. But why? This is what came in my mind. Why are you such a good friend? Like, why is it so important for you to have somebody's back? Like, when did that start for you?
Oh man, I don't know. I think probably my parents. You know, because they just had real close friends when we were younger. You know what I mean? They would have their friends that come over and barbecue. We go on vacations. You know, so I kind of seen that type of friendship. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So growing up, I think that was it. Like, oh, this is, you know, and you don't even look at it as friends. It's like, oh, this is family.
Yeah, it's family.
You know what I mean? So I think that is a big part. And I just think that when you genuinely care about people, like all of my friends, we're not talking about 2-3 year friendships. We're talking about since middle school.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I have those type of relationships that's been 20 plus. I mean, we going on 20. We at 2000.
Yeah, we just got to 20, I think.
Yeah. So, you know, that's huge.
How did we become friends? From your recollection.
Well, you couldn't when I seen you when we first there, you just couldn't dress real well. And I'm like, this guy needs some guidance. He was walking around looking like Kanye with his polo popped up. Nah, but
I was though.
No, you were. But it was that time. You know what I mean?
It was that time.
You were 5'4" wearing an extra large polo. You know, it's like
I don't like how loud Mackenzie laughed at that.
But it's the truth. It's the truth.
I was I was inspired by Kanye. The College Dropout had just came out.
Fire.
I was wearing literal suit jackets and polos and all types of craziness on my college campus, and no one else was. But you know what?
You were a trendsetter.
I was a trendsetter.
But yeah, that's how we met. We met in.
We gotta find a picture and put it up during the editing.
Yeah, for sure. We have plenty of pictures.
You have them all.
Yeah, I got plenty of pictures, plenty of receipts. But yeah, no, we met in 2004. As soon as we got to college.
20 years long friendship. Well, I'll tell you how I remember it. I remember coming into Earhart. Was that the dining hall at Purdue?
Earhart.
Boiler Up. So all our Purdue fam out there. And I was sitting by myself because of whatever reason. I tend to roll along.
You couldn't dress.
Because I couldn't dress.
They're like, who is this guy over here sitting by himself?
So I'm sitting by myself, having my lunch, chilling. I think I saw somebody I knew, and we talked with them for a minute, and then they left, and so I was just eating. And then I think Steve from like maybe 5 tables over, he's got like 50 people around him at the time.
I don't even remember this.
Maybe it was 5. I think it was Renard,
Carrie,
Marlon. Probably Marlon. No, because I would have known Marlon, but Marlon wasn't over there.
Sean.
Maybe Sean was over there. Anyway, it was a few people over there, and he says, hey, kind of like he's like, hey. I'm like, huh, me? He's like, yeah, come over. I was like, all right, I guess. It's like, this is weird. So I went over and had lunch with them. And that's the first time I remember, like, that's one of the first interactions I remember.
That's crazy because I don't remember that.
Yeah, but I was like, oh, that was pretty cool because this dude was kind of like a popular kid, essentially. And, you know, for what it's worth, I've always considered myself popular too, usually in the school settings I was in. But I grew up in a private school and, you know, I was the only black kid, so it's kind of hard not to stand out. But I'm usually an extrovert, you know, in public and can easily introduce myself to anybody and have a conversation and whatnot. Mm-hmm. But you know, as you get older, and sometimes you don't meet as many people. But in that college time, anyway, my point is that I felt like that was a good gesture by you. Like, oh, this guy has plenty of friends, obviously, and he's enjoying himself. But he, you know, you obviously wanted to dress like me. And wanted to get some tips directly from the source.
Yeah, how do you get your polo to stay up so crisp? Like, can you show me that? Yeah, that's how it went.
But I always respected the fact that you did that. I was like, oh, that was just a nice gesture. Who does that?
Yeah,
most people don't. And so and still to this day, as we've gone throughout life over these 20 years. I have seen you on several occasions, you know, kind of have my back. I remember one time I was drunk. I think this is when we had tickets. Or I had tickets to that to a football game, Notre Dame football game. Me, you, Fonzo, Mike. And
were you talking about when we were in South Bend?
Yes, and we was watching the game. We didn't end up going in because of some reason. We didn't have enough tickets, and so me being the good friend I am, I'm like, all right. And actually, the dude that gave me those tickets was very upset that I didn't actually go into the stadium.
Because we watched it in the bar.
We watched it in the bar. Because it wasn't enough tickets. We thought we was just going to get some extra tickets when we got there.
Yeah, that's right.
Or whatnot. But I somehow was drunk and ended up getting into it with a dude that was, you know, almost everybody's twice my size. But this guy was for sure maybe 3 times my size. And we literally, like, I think he grabbed me or something, and I, like, grabbed him back or pushed him back. And then next thing I know, like, Steve is coming up from behind, like, helping the situation. Like, hey, this guy's not alone, you know, if it was going to be some trouble. And so you've always been that kind of guy, like, you ready to stand up or defend.
Yeah.
But so you're saying you think a lot of that came from you seeing your parents have good relationships? Or
Well, no, I mean, yeah, that too, but I just cherish my friends. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And I think that's just the difference. Like, I want to see my friends win, and I look at my friends as family. You know what I mean? So with that comes with that. Like, I'm going to treat, you know, my friends like family. So if something's going to pop off, or if you need me, or if you want to talk about something, like, I think that's what a true friend should be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think a lot of people, you know, like I said before, they take that for granted. They take a good friend for granted because it's like, oh, I know this person has a good heart, and some people may play on that. You know, you can see because, you know, I've fallen out with people that I was very close with, because they weren't good friends,
right?
And I think that, you know, once we become adults, it's like, well, if you're not moving like how I'm moving, and if you're not treating me with the same type of, you know, respect, then, you know, I feel like we just got to go our separate ways. I can love you from a distance, but I take that. Like, don't take my friendship for granted, because I can pull that away, and then the opposite of that is very standoffish. You know what I mean? So, and I think people need to realize that if you got a friend that you've been rocking with, like, do the little things to show that you appreciate them. You know what I mean? Give your friends they flowers while they're still here. Why it shouldn't be, you know, once something happens or you lose a friend, then it's like, well, man, you really meant this much. Like, you know, tell people why they still have, you know, breath in their lungs, that they're appreciated.
Facts. Big bar. And, you know, I think that something that's really important with that is that what are those little things? You know, the little things, as I reflect, is one, being available.
Yeah.
Picking up the phone or reaching out.
Yeah.
Or if you can't pick up or reach out, getting back with somebody. But another thing about that, and I think you and I have always been really good about this, is that even if, we can't, like times where I was disappointed, like when you moved to LA, I was kind of mad. I don't think I told you this, but I was like, dang, he's moving to LA because you just moved.
Yeah.
But I never told you that. I was like, hey, go do your thing. I supported you because I respected the fact that you was moving. But internally, I was like, man, that sucks. What if I wanted to go to LA? And I wasn't prepared to move to LA. I didn't want to move to LA right then. I didn't, it wasn't even on my radar.
Yeah.
Right. And so, but I think the thing that was good when you talk about doing the little things and picking up and being available for somebody, I think even when somebody can't be available, not able to call you back or not able to have that conversation, that you're able to give them a little grace, and not be like automatically feel some type of way. I feel like good friendships, you got to be able to give that person grace and you communicate. Like, hey, sure, if I ain't talked to you for a month, like, yo, bro, what's going on? But when you communicate, give them a chance to have some sort of explanation or tell you why they weren't available for you.
Right.
And not immediately cut somebody off unless you see it as a pattern.
Right. And I feel like that happens. I've seen that happen. Like, oh, well, I ain't talked to so-and-so. Like, it's, friendship is a two-way street.
Yes, sir.
A person might, oh, man, I ain't talked. It's been a while. It's like, yeah, it has been a while. You know what I mean? Like, it goes both ways. And I think we get, like, right now, our lives are hectic. You know what I mean? So I don't want none of my friends to ever think that, because they know. When even my friends that don't know that, like, they kids is grown or whatever, I said, listen, I have 3 under 3 that's running around causing havoc in my life right now. Like, I can't do all the things that I used to be able to do. So I have to remind myself that as a friend, like, you know what I mean? Like, my close people, we talk every day, no matter what. I
can't go out.
I can't do that today. You know what I mean? Like, and it's just funny. It's just funny how life is. But people that are your true friends, they're gonna understand.
They're gonna understand.
They're gonna know, like, oh yeah, I know what you're going through, and hey, let's just pick up the phone, because we all fall short of that.
Yeah,
call somebody and tell them, like, hey, I'm thinking of you. You know what I mean? Family, friend, whatever. And it just goes a long way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think that's what I pride myself on is, showing people just that type of love, because that's just who I am.
Yeah, no, and that's a lot of respect. I can definitely speak for you, and I think I said this at your wedding, like, this guy is a true friend, like, and I think all your friends, and so that's kudos to you. If I've never told you, you're a good friend, and I think that's God has, like, certainly gifted you in a way that you know how to be available. You know how to be understanding. And I think, I always want to say things in threes because my dad was a pastor and I like to talk in threes. But I think the third thing is not only, being available and being understanding, but, like, there are times when you have to be there and it's inconvenient.
Right.
And, like, when you showed up unannounced when my dad died, I was like, wow. And I had other friends show up unannounced, and I appreciate them even at another level,
right?
Too, but it's like you also know a true friend when they are
going through it.
They're going to inconvenience themselves to be there for you.
Yeah,
and you, like you said, you got to respect that. You got to let somebody know that, man, I appreciate that.
Yeah,
because you're going above and beyond what normal friendship is at this point, and you're stretching beyond, to do that. And even because I always have this saying, and I hopefully I say this a lot enough for people to see it, things change every day. Meaning that just because something was one way yesterday and your friend was there for you and y'all was able to do this and do that, like you said, if you get kids or something, or your life changes, or something's going on with your family, and
sometimes you miss stuff.
Yeah, stuff just happens, and things change every day.
Yeah,
and so being able to wake up every day and be like, and I feel like this is why the Bible say, new mercies I see every day, because every day you wake up, you need a new, fresh set of, like, grace and mercy
Yeah.
to just get through the day. And sometimes you have to extend that to also the people around you, and just know that people is many times they doing the best they can.
Yeah.
But again, going back to, like you said, you do have to cut people off when you see that pattern of, okay, you're not being a good friend.
Yeah.
Okay, I haven't heard from you, and the only time I did hear from you was when you needed some money.
Yeah.
I haven't talked to you in months.
Yeah.
You know,
It's not and you know, sometimes it's not fair. You know what I mean? It's like, because if I know that if you ask me for something, because I know that I can ask you for something.
Yeah.
And a lot of times people may ask you for something. It's like, bro, okay, so if I needed $100 and I need it like right now, but you want me to give you the $100, but when I ask you for the $100, it's like, you know.
Exactly.
I seen a podcast with who was it? It was Lean Back, Fat Joe. He said that it was a test for him. He texted like 10 friends or something and was just like, he needed something.
Oh, you said it was a test?
It was a test. He
okay.
tested his friends.
Yeah.
And only like 2 or 3 of them showed up. And that was his test of, I think he asked him for some money or something, like I need something urgent or something. It's like you kind of almost have to do that.
You should.
You know what I mean? Just to test to see where.
What do they call that? Shaking the fence, rattling the tree.
Yeah, rattling the tree.
Something like that.
And it's, it's just unfortunate, man. Like I just want people to really cherish your friendships. Yeah. That's really the biggest bar. It's like cherish the people that take care of you and that they're like, cherish that. Because friendships, they come a dime a dozen. You know what I mean? So I take that very seriously. Like when it comes to my friends, because I don't want to see my friends hurt. Like when my friends is hurting, I'm hurting. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, and so I think that's just a different connection level when it comes to friendship. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I feel sorry for people who don't have that. You know what I mean? Because it's people that they don't fool with their friends, or they're in competition, like all of that competition and doing all of that with friends, that's out the water. I want all my friends to win. Yeah. And if you ever are trying to compete with me, I'm not even going to even entertain it. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because I want the best for you. Right. I want you to compete with me to be the best. Yeah. And if that's not the case, then we need to reevaluate our friendship, because this is a time right now where everyone should be winning. It shouldn't be just one friend that's the only person that's up. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like Dame Dash said it best. Like if something happened to one friend, the other friends that's around should be able to help that person out. You know what I mean? It shouldn't be one person that is the breadwinner. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because if something happened to him, now all your friends that's around you, they all broke. Now what? Exactly. It's just different when everyone is, building each other up to be the best. Yeah. No, that's exactly what you need around you. And I think when you don't have that, like you said, you've got to shake the tree a bit and see who is really going to be there for me, even if it's a test, because not everyone will. And a lot of people don't have that person. Right. At least from what I've been, people have looked at me and said, wow, my family have wondered, like, how do you have all these strong relationships? And some of it's because I went to school and I met a lot of solid people that were at school, and just a blessing. But I don't know, with all the people that we went to school with, I don't know how many of those people still have the type of relationships we have. Yeah. Like you and I have, or the relationships that the Bracewood guys have, or some of our other friendships. Like, so there is a rarity there. Yeah, for sure. And I think that's the most important part, is figuring out the people that are going through, because once you find, college was different because we were all on the same playing field. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like we're grown adults now, majority of the people that are there never lived on their own before. Right. So now we're all figuring out adulthood, being out, being away from our family, you know what I mean? So figuring that out, I think you just grow a bond in that alone with school. A lot of people don't, the whole college thing is like, oh, should I go to college? I enjoyed my 4.5 years of college.
Yeah, me too.
And the relationships that have built from that, even if I didn't learn anything from college, just to say I just didn't even learn anything. If I got these friendships and relationships and resources, it beats anything.
It does. And for everything I did learn, it still beats anything.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I'm a big proponent of have your job and do entrepreneurship, but every job I've got has somehow been connected. Every strong job I've got has either been connected to the friendships I've built or family, and or the fact that I've known somebody that I met in college and they kind of put me on or connected me, or people I didn't know and they were just familiar with the school I went to.
Right, yeah.
And were just like, oh, you went there? You went to Purdue? You went to Ball State? Yep. Okay.
Here you go.
Here, let me.
It's not what you know, it's who you know.
It's who you know. And that's, people poo-poo on college a lot, which I get it. We in a social media age. You can go be a influencer if you want to. Good. Do that. But college is still a powerful thing, and it's super powerful for creating relationships.
For sure.
And that does not get enough voice to it.
Yeah, you can't take away that. You know what I mean?
No,
like if anyone ever tries to stripe you from anything, it's just like, well, you can't stripe me from this phone because this is where these resources is at.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And I think I think people need to realize that and take that in consideration when they're when they're having this debate of school, because you could do it either way. You know what I mean? Like if you decide not to go to school and you're going to miss out on, that aspect of meeting people from all over the world. I mean, we met people from literally all walks of life.
We did.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
On top of being the 3.5% black.
Right.
You know what I mean? We were at a predominantly white school.
Just like our buddy that's in Pakistan.
Crazy.
Dude, I forget his name right now, but remember he reached out to us all those years ago?
Yeah, trying to do the transportation.
Thing with us.
Yeah,
but
so
we
those
literally know people all over the world.
All over the world. and that's priceless.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if we do want to go to Pakistan, hey, you got somebody in another country that you can call that could, because you don't. Anytime I go, when we go out of the country, wherever we're at, somebody's phone number is in there. Whether we talk to them or not, like, oh, okay, we got a driver. Let's but we got a chef when we go here. Like it's just good to meet people of all walks of life, because you never know when, you may need to tap in with them.
And you know what? That's interesting, because even if you haven't talked to somebody, and I think this is good for our audience, how do you like reconnect in a genuine way? Because there could be people that you've fallen out with, and falling out with for good reason. Mm-hmm. But at least for me, I tend to give people second chances in terms of, okay, what's going on with you today? Mm-hmm. And there's still going to be some distance there. Mm-hmm. But if you can prove to me that you've changed or you've grown, all right, it's cool. Every day is new. Yeah. If you're a new person now and you're not acting that old way, then I will give you a chance to, rekindle a friendship. But I feel like people, especially strangers, when presented with friendship, when someone's nice to you, especially today, it's almost like people think it's awkward.
Right.
Like,
because people are scumbags. Yeah. I like that word scumbag, because people they just are, like, you know what I mean? It's just like, why are you being nice to me?
Yeah.
And for me, I'm like that. I'm going to talk to the person next to me on the plane, because you just never know what can stem from that. Yep. You know what I mean? Yep. A lot of times, you might just put on now, of course, you might put your headphones on and you don't want to talk to nobody, but for the most part, I'm speaking, because you just never know. A lot of people say, like, bro, how do you know people for like, if you go somewhere, how do you know at least one person?
Yeah.
I'm like, that's just the power of, I don't know, being a
Well, I gotta find the Bible verse now. We always gotta throw the Bible in it somewhere.
Being personable, man, is very it's needed.
It's like almost a superpower now, because everyone's so hidden behind phone. I was listening to The Best One Yet, which is a podcast. Mm-hmm. Check it out. If you're into financial news and you're an entrepreneur, The Best One Yet is a good place to get good financial content. But they said that people now are like it's awkward to get a phone call. If you didn't grow up with a landline phone, then it is considered awkward to get a phone call. Like, don't call me. Like, it's like why are you calling? Text, please. Yeah. Because we're all hidden behind these devices.
For sure.
And that if you didn't grow up with that, with people calling you randomly or calling your house phone, which there's a whole generation. If you were born, I don't know what year it is, but if you were born after probably 2004-ish, probably 20 years ago, maybe 25 years ago, if you're born in the 2000s, a landline is probably something you may or may not have had.
Yeah, no, facts.
And it's like, what is this? But to your point, it's hurting us a bit in society because now it's like people are afraid to make connections. Like, take my Instagram or look at me through my filtered life. Don't know me.
We're not even asking for phone numbers no more. It's like, you have Instagram?
Yeah.
Because it's like, I want to kind of be nosy and know what I want to preview your life from this device.
Yeah, to determine if I want to.
You don't understand. If I want you to like me for that, then I could put all of that on my social media and confuse you.
Yep.
Oh, this guy's got it going on just because you look at. You know, another thing, I think us not having us not having social media back in the day, you had to be a friend.
Yeah.
Like, we were talking about that, like the little electrical box where it used to be, you sit on the little green electrical box. I don't know if in certain neighborhoods, but this is where we met.
The green box.
This is the meetup.
Yeah.
You see bikes over there. This is where you know where your friends is at.
Right.
So you're pulling up like, oh, okay, I know Jimmy and it was over here. That was the meetup. You know what I mean? So, and I still have those relationships with, and so I think that's just it. We was really outside before the term outside.
Yep.
It's like you want it to be outside. You don't want to be out like, it's like, oh no, we kicking it. You know what I mean? But when that light come on, you better be in the house. You know what I mean?
No, for sure.
So I think that's another thing that's just added to it. Seeing my family, have their friends and the people that they had over and traveled out of town with, and then having my friends that you grow up with, you have that type of bond because you were really in the trenches with friends because you didn't have social media.
No, you had to get out.
You creating the memories with these people. So
in real life,
I think that's just priceless.
It is. And back to that Bible verse, so this is in Proverbs, which anybody who knows the Bible knows Proverbs is full of all this just like wise stuff that's simple. And it's like Proverbs 18:24, a man who has friends must himself be friendly. And I won't read the rest of the verse, but it's that simple.
Yeah.
Are you friendly? And it goes back to what you said earlier. Can somebody count on you?
Right.
You're always looking for who can get me out of this bind? Who could I get some money from? Who can put me on?
Yep.
And it's like, who can you put on?
Yeah, for sure. What have you done?
What have you done for yourself?
Yeah.
And not always looking out, because sometimes people feel like stuff is owed to them.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you owe it to me. Oh, you on? Come on, put me on.
Yeah.
But it's like, no.
Yeah, just because we have a friendship, it's like, well, what work are you putting in?
Right.
You know what I mean? Because this work that I'm putting in, didn't nobody put me on.
Nobody.
So I think that's the difference. And it's the opposite. We want to put people on. That's the whole reason why we started this podcast. We want people to have this knowledge, to have these self-talks and, talk some of this stuff through, because it's important and it's needed.
Yeah. And it's like we say in our opening, like, we're not trying to keep the knowledge to ourselves anymore. If we was, we're not trying to do it anymore, because it's like it doesn't really cost us anything.
Right. And the knowledge is already out there.
It's already out there anyway. This is all free.
We're just in front of a camera talking about it.
Yeah, we're just giving it to you in another medium, which hopefully helps you. But I think that is just, I want to tie this to business too, because, people might listen to this and be like, oh, they didn't talk about money this time, or they didn't talk about. But the thing about it, if you're paying close attention, a lot of the money, a lot of the connections, a lot of the opportunities are coming from building deep friendships. We've been in rooms with millionaires because of friendships, because of the connections that you've made. So I think that you've got to look for ways to network and ways to, especially if you're in a lot of people. I heard Will Smith say the other day, he's trying to find a way to not be so out there, to be more hidden. And I even heard my professor say it a long time ago. He's like, you get to an age where, I guess he wasn't on social media. He's like, you don't want to be found that often. Right. You don't, probably because you don't. And I understand that, because sometimes, like for me, and I may have said this before, but I don't want people that close to me if I can't, because I know how I treat those close to me. Right. So I'm keeping that limited.
Yeah, for sure.
Because if
you don't have the capacity, you can't have the type of capacity you need to be a good friend when you have so many different people pulling from you.
Exactly. If there's 37 people close to you, then no one's close to you.
Yeah, for sure.
But if you got 2, 3, a handful of people that's close to you, if they ever need you, you can be there for them. Yeah. If this one's father dies or mother dies, all right, I could be there for them. I could show that friendship. And so, I think that's just huge, is that you gotta be friendly. If you want to find friends, and it's one of those foundational pieces that go, for y'all back home, it's one of those foundational pieces that if you don't do this thing, then all these opportunities, all this entrepreneurship that you want to get into could falter because you don't really have strong. Everything is happening. Vincent told me this once. He's like, people do stuff for their friends. Period. Yeah. Like, if you're my friend, it's a whole different level of what I'll do for you versus a stranger. Right. And so if you're lost on why are we talking about this when this is Wealthy Thoughts, it's because this is what comes before the wealth.
This is the foundation before you even get to that phase.
This is
because you don't even know how to treat people. You don't know how to treat people, which in reality you're not going to know how to treat money.
Exactly. You're not.
Because when you get it, you're going to Vincent even said it. Money shows you who you really are. You know what I mean? And when people don't have it, and you don't have no type of foundation when it comes to to being a friend, like, chances are you're going to trick off the money, or you're going to do something crazy because your foundation is rocky.
Yeah, it is. And it's actually like a hack. Yeah. Because being transactional's okay. Yeah. But like we talked about in past episodes, people are starting to they're starting to get wind of that. They're starting to see through that. Yeah. Like this everybody's out there now. So if you're not really building a connection with people, if you're not really helping people, then it's like, why would they tune in? Why would they leave feedback? Why would they comment? This is no longer just like a flashy, oh, look what I can do for you. Here, let me sell you something real quick and never follow up with you.
It's a community.
It's a community.
And that's what's driving this. It's a community based of individuals that want to do better.
Yeah. And so let's do this before we leave and cut this off. Give people some tips for how to start up. If they're a stranger, don't know anybody, if they're on a plane, or if they're, at a festival, or if they're at a, supermarket, what's some tips for starting up a conversation in real life with somebody that you could advise people on?
Man, I did this. It was with myself. It was kind of like, I've always been a social person. So for me, it's like, okay, anytime I go somewhere, I want to strike up a conversation with at least one person. And I want that to be the practice. Because once you do that, you get into the practice. Like, oh, you got a Rolex on. That's a nice watch. The conversation can simply be a compliment.
Compliment is a conversation starter.
A compliment is I like how you put that outfit together.
That is a bar. A compliment is a conversation starter.
Yeah. And it is crucial, because now instead of, hey, what's your name? It's like, oh, I'm complimenting you. So now you're going to be more open. Oh, thanks. You notice something that, it took time for me to put this outfit on. I spent money on this watch. You know what I mean? So for somebody to notice that, it's like, let that be the icebreaker.
Yeah.
Me complimenting you instead of, hey, so I see you got a watch on. You invest. You know what I mean?
Right.
Into it being awkward because it's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
People who don't know how to, strike up a conversation, it's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And that was my thing. I'm like, oh, I want to be comfortable. So when I talk to someone, people are already like, oh, okay, I can talk to this guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think that's just a good practice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And start with the compliment.
Yeah, that's great. That's a great bar. And I would say my advice would be if you don't know how to do that, you need to find somebody that does.
Yeah.
And try to get around them. So my thing is like, Steve, one of your superpowers is networking, connecting with people. I think I know how to do that as well, but I think you know how to do it a lot better than I do.
Yeah.
So if I'm going somewhere or doing something and I can have Steve with me, it's like, okay, this guy knows how to do that and do it smoothly.
Yeah. Then you can bring a whole, I mean, we've done it. We've been out of town and strike up a conversation with one person. Next thing you know, we all in the club together spending money. Like, oh, these guys are with us. Come on.
Yeah, everybody's cool.
I don't know. I think that, like you said, it's not everyone has it.
Not everyone has it. And if you find someone that has it, lean on that strength that they have.
Yeah, for sure.
Versus you
trying to force it. Because people know when you're forcing stuff.
Either if you're trying to force it or you're trying to don't try to force it, and also don't be just almost like if you're so irritated that you're trying to avoid it, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
There's people that's just like, oh, I don't. Yeah. Then you definitely need to you need to have a travel partner. You need to have somebody going out with you.
For sure.
You need to find somebody to hang with.
That makes you comfortable.
It makes you comfortable.
Yeah.
Because if you're not, then it's like, okay, that's weird. And and it could shut down future opportunities for you. And that's what I don't want to happen. If you're trying to be an entrepreneur, networking without networking, striking up a conversation without being awkward about it,
right,
are hacks.
Yeah.
And if you get around somebody that can do that, then maybe that can rub off on you, or you can benefit. I can benefit from Steve's ability to go into a room, strike up a conversation, and then, okay, now I'm having a conversation because the ice was broken.
Right.
So I think those are some
and it's
good
just
tips.
It's a time and place for stuff like that.
Yeah.
A lot of people, if you're in a club and there's loud music and you're trying to, it's like, no, I'm not talking to you right now.
Right.
Because first of all, the music's loud. You're screaming at me.
Yeah. I
have no idea what you're saying.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's a time and place to strike up those combos, man.
And I would say be more interested in others than you are yourself. Be more interested in others than because if you're always ready to talk about what you got going on and what you doing and what you've been through, and that it becomes like, oh.
Yeah. And that's an insecure thing.
It is.
If I constantly have to, brag about stuff that I'm doing, to you to stroke my ego, that's an insecurity.
Yeah.
And a lot of people carry that, but that's just because of the practice of not talking to people.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, well, let me make this about me. You know what I mean? A lot of people are like, well, what do you got going on? Then when someone asks you what you got going on now, I can,
know. They want to know at this point.
Yeah.
And a lot of times people don't even realize it, but when they're talking about themselves, it's going to take them a little while to talk about it. But if someone's really wise,
right,
they will shorten up what they got going on to hear what you got. It's all about reciprocation.
Yep.
And
plus, I can't even tell you everything that I have going on.
Right. I can't.
So what all you got going on?
Yeah. Give you a few highlights.
I'm an entrepreneur of these couple of things because it's too much. And I don't want to give you all of that in one setting.
Right. It's inappropriate.
I think I learned that from being in LA.
Yeah.
It's just like, stop giving people everything.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, I do, I write, I do. It's like, you don't have to give them everything on the first date.
Right. Relax.
Yeah. Chill.
Yeah.
Grasshopper.
Right.
Yeah, and then yesterday I was over at Jamie Foxx's house. It was so amazing. It's like nobody cares about that.
Yeah, nobody cares. Nobody cares. And that's the biggest thing with, I think, trying to develop new relationships is care more about others than yourself in that sense when you're talking and trying to strike up conversations, because people are more interested in what they got going on than what you got going on. And if you recognize that and can really talk through that, then that can help you build a good foundation of friendships.
Yeah.
So, any final thoughts?
Nah, this was dope.
Yep. So
be a good friend.
Be a
good friend and stop taking your friendships for granted. Facts. Because when that person decides to move on and it's like, oh, I could have, should have, would have, you can have major regrets on not being a good friend. Because all it takes is for somebody to cut you off and it's like, I should have did better. That's
it, y'all. Be a good friend. Until next time, y'all stay motivated.
Peace.
Peace. I'm thinking them wealthy thoughts, baby.